Have you ever looked at an older person and quietly thought to yourself, wow, how are they still doing all that? Aging has its own rhythm. Some people slow down. Some completely pause. But then there are a rare few, real hidden gems, who somehow shine brighter with every passing year. They keep doing things that most their age gave up long ago. And it's not always what you'd expect. It's not about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. It's something far deeper, quieter, but so much more meaningful. Today, we're going to explore 5 surprising habits or traits that, if you're still doing them between the ages of 70 and 85, make you one in a million. These aren't just routines. These are signs of emotional depth, mental strength, and inner wisdom. Qualities that don't fade with time, they deepen if you nurture them. Maybe you'll see yourself in one of these. Maybe you'll think of a loved one. But one thing's for sure, by the end, you'll better understand just how extraordinary some people truly are. And if you're someone who still believes in kindness, growth, independence, and laughter, then this video is for you. Let's begin. Number 1, you're still learning new things. There's something quietly powerful about a person in their 70s or 80s who still sees life through the eyes of a student. Whether you're figuring out how to use a smartphone, trying painting for the first time, learning video calls to chat with the grandkids, or even picking up a new language, if you're doing any of that, you're defying the usual story people tell about aging. Most people slow down mentally long before they physically do. They get stuck in a routine, stop asking questions, and eventually stop being curious. But those who keep learning? They're wired differently. They stay open, they stay curious, and most importantly, they stay mentally alive. That openness is a treasure. It means you haven't shut the door on growth. It means your mind still stretches like a healthy muscle, and that makes all the difference. Take Frank, for example. A 78-year-old former school janitor who, after retirement, decided to teach himself how to play piano. He'd never touched an instrument in his life. But he started watching online tutorials, practiced every morning after breakfast, and slowly taught himself how to play simple melodies. He didn't do it to perform or impress. He did it because it brought him joy. And now, he plays soft tunes for his great-grandkids when they visit. His hands might move a little slower, but his mind is fully alive. And that's the beautiful part. Whether it's watercolor, a history class, or learning how to use a tablet, these aren't just hobbies. They're signs that you still believe in your ability to grow. And that belief? That's powerful. Studies show lifelong learners have higher self-esteem, better memory, and stronger emotional resilience. Because every time you learn something new, you're proving to yourself that age hasn't stopped you. You're still evolving. In a world that too often assumes older people are done growing, you are the proof that the journey continues. So if you're in your 70s or 80s and still learning, don't take it lightly. You're not just passing time, you're building a meaningful, vibrant life. Number 2, you still offer emotional support to others. There's a quiet, powerful strength in being the kind of person others turn to when life feels heavy. If you're between 70 and 85, and people still come to you for comfort, whether it's a neighbor seeking advice, a grandchild pouring their heart out, or an old friend sharing something difficult, you are offering something truly rare. You are giving your calm, steady presence to a world that desperately needs more of it. Emotional support isn't always about grand speeches or dramatic moments. Sometimes it's in the way you quietly nod, the gentle tone in your voice, or the patience in how you listen. It's in the simple, comforting words, "I've been there." And suddenly, someone else doesn't feel so alone. What makes this ability so special is that it becomes rarer with age. Many older adults begin to retreat inward, feeling invisible or overlooked. But not you. If you're still making space for others, still caring, still listening, still being that soft place for others to land, then you've held on to something priceless, your empathy. And empathy, especially in your later years, is more than kindness, it's courage. It means you've walked through storms, loss, change, heartache, and still, you remain open-hearted. That is no small thing. Take Betty, for example, an 82-year-old widow who began volunteering at a grief support group after her husband passed away. She wasn't a therapist. She didn't come with degrees or titles. But she had something better: presence. When she spoke, people listened. When she stayed silent, people felt safe. Over time, Betty became the heart of that room, not because she had all the answers, but because she simply cared. And if you're like Betty, if you're the one people still lean on, you're not just supportive. You're a quiet anchor in a noisy world. Psychologists have found that older adults who continue offering emotional care often experience greater personal fulfillment. Why? Because it keeps your heart engaged. It reminds you that you still matter. That your love, your words, and your presence still hold weight. If, at your age, you're still showing up emotionally for others, lifting them when they're low, and giving them strength through your kindness, you're doing something that even many young people struggle with. You're proving that real strength isn't in how much you can carry, it's in how gently you can lift someone else. Number 3, you're still curious about the world. There's something truly inspiring about someone in their 70s or 80s who still lights up with curiosity. If you're the kind of person who still asks questions, who picks up books, watches documentaries, reads about faraway places, or wants to understand how something works, then you carry a light that never dimmed. Many people, as they age, become content with what they already know. They stop wondering. They stop exploring. But those who stay curious, they stay alive in a deeper way. Because curiosity is more than just a desire to learn, it's a sign that your spirit is still awake. You might be fascinated by history, technology, nature, or human behavior. Maybe you read the newspaper every day. Or maybe you just love talking to younger people, asking them about their lives and interests. No matter how you express it, your curiosity connects you to the present, and that's what makes it powerful. Curious people don't live in the past. They stay involved in the now. They want to know more, not just about the world, but about themselves. And that ongoing hunger to understand, to grow, to be surprised, it keeps your mind young, flexible, and vibrant. Think of curiosity as fuel. It pushes you to try new things. It helps you adapt to changes. And most importantly, it makes life interesting. Even the smallest discoveries can bring joy, whether it's learning how a bee makes honey or how to use a new feature on your phone. So if you're still curious at this stage in life, hold on to that. It's one of the rarest and most beautiful qualities a person can have. You remind the world that no matter our age, there is always more to learn, more to see, and more to feel amazed by. If you still wake up wondering, what can I learn today? Then you're holding on to something incredibly rare. Staying curious in your 70s or 80s isn't just a sweet habit. It's a quiet form of strength. Why? Because as we age, our world often starts to shrink. Routines take over. Comfort becomes more appealing than discovery. And slowly, many people stop asking questions. They begin to believe that everything worth learning has already been learnt. But not you. Your curiosity is like a living flame. It keeps your mind active, your heart young, and your spirit open. Science backs this up. Studies show that seniors who continue to learn, explore, and stay mentally engaged have better memory, reduced risk of cognitive decline, and even more emotional balance. Curiosity literally helps the brain build new connections, keeping it fresh and flexible. Take Howard, a retired mailman in his late 70s. One evening, he watched a documentary about the stars and was so captivated that he bought a small telescope. He joined a local stargazing group and now spends his evenings mapping constellations. He says, "It makes me feel small, but in a good way, like I'm still part of something big." That's what curiosity does. It opens up the universe again, even if your steps are slower now than they used to be. And it doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's asking your grandson how his game works, or watching a video on how bees make honey, or reading something that makes you see the world in a new way. What matters is that you haven't shut the door on growth. You still treat life as an open book, not a finished one. And people like you? They're more open-minded, more hopeful, and better at adapting to change. You're not afraid to say, "I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out." That's rare. Because while the world often grows quieter with age, your curiosity is a soft rebellion. It says, "I'm still here. Still learning. Still alive." And that, in your golden years, is nothing short of beautiful. Number 4, you speak kindly to yourself. If you're between 70 and 85, and you've learned to speak gently to yourself, to offer yourself kindness, not criticism, then you've achieved something truly extraordinary. Because most people spend their lives talking to themselves in harsh, unforgiving ways. By the time they reach their later years, that inner voice has worn them down. They replay regrets. Question their worth. Wonder if they were good enough, as parents, as spouses, as people. But not you. If you've grown into someone who says, "I did my best," or "I'm proud of how far I've come," that's not just wisdom. That's strength. It means you've made peace with your past. You've stopped treating yourself like a problem to fix and started treating yourself like a person to love. Aging often brings reflection, but also, sadly, self-blame. Yet if you can look at your life and choose forgiveness over shame and grace over guilt, then you've done something rare, you've developed self-compassion. And that's no accident. That kind voice inside you was built, slowly, through storms you've survived, through pain you've let go of, and through realizing that life was never about being perfect, it was about growing. Psychologists say the way we talk to ourselves becomes the foundation of how we live. And if your voice today is kind, patient, and forgiving, then you've built a beautiful foundation, one that supports peace, not pain. So if you now look in the mirror and see not just wrinkles, but resilience, not just time passed, but life well lived, then know this, you are rare. And your kindness toward yourself is not just healing, it's a quiet form of greatness. If your inner voice has become kind, forgiving, and encouraging, then you've done something extraordinary, you've built an emotional home inside yourself. And just like any home, the feeling it gives you matters deeply. Because if your mind is filled with harsh judgment, your spirit begins to shrink. But if it's filled with compassion, you begin to thrive. You've created a sanctuary, not made of walls and windows, but one that protects your mind from bitterness, your spirit from resentment, and your relationships from unnecessary pain. Let me share a story. Margaret, a retired nurse from Ohio now in her early 80s, once said something simple, but unforgettable. She said, "I used to beat myself up for not doing enough. But now I say, Margaret, you did the best you could with what you knew at the time." And then she paused and added, "That one sentence changed how I sleep at night." That's not just healing. That's wisdom in action. You see, people who speak kindly to themselves often carry that kindness into the world. If you're that kind of person, you may not even realize it, but you're probably the calm in your family. The quiet comfort in your friend's circle. The gentle presence that eases tension in the room. And here's the truth. In a world that constantly whispers, "You're not enough, not young enough, not fit enough, not productive enough," your self-compassion is a quiet act of rebellion. You're telling the world, and yourself, that being enough is not something to earn. It's something to recognize. So if you ever catch yourself saying, "I've lived a good life," or "I like who I've become," pause right there. Let those words sink in. Because of that inner peace you found? It didn't come easily. It's the result of hundreds, maybe thousands, of quiet inner battles you fought and won. Battles no one else ever saw. And that doesn't just make you rare. It makes you remarkable. If you're still watching this video and these reflections resonate with you, type the number 4 in the comments to let me know you're still here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do it. Turn on the bell so you don't miss any of our future messages. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep bringing you gentle, powerful content like this. Now, let's move on. Number 5, staying curious about life. If you're in your 70s, 80s, or beyond, and you still find yourself asking questions, reading new things, and exploring new ideas, then let me tell you something straight from the heart: you are a rare and beautiful soul. Because curiosity at this stage of life isn't just a personality trait. It's a quiet declaration that your spirit is still very much alive. The truth is, most people eventually stop asking why, or how, or what else is out there. They fall into routine. They assume they've learnt all there is to learn. The world becomes small and predictable, and sadly, a little dimmer. But not for you. If you're the kind of person who still picks up a book, still watches documentaries, still asks your grandkids about their interests, still tries a new food just to see what it tastes like, then you are not just impressive. You are inspiring. Curiosity keeps your heart young. It keeps your brain active. It keeps your world alive. And it's more than just staying mentally sharp, it's about choosing growth over comfort. Choosing wonder over weariness. And let me tell you, that takes courage. Because society often tries to tell older people to step aside, to become quiet, and to slowly disappear into the background. But your curiosity is your way of saying, I'm still here. I still want to learn. I still care. And science agrees with you. Studies show that older adults who stay curious enjoy better memory, clearer thinking, and less depression. Why? Because curiosity creates movement. Not just in the body, but in the heart and the mind. It gives you something to look forward to. It opens the door for surprise. And surprise is one of the secret ingredients of joy. Let me introduce you to Robert, a 78-year-old gentleman from Arizona. Every morning, he watches one short educational video online, about history, nature, or science. He calls it his morning spark. Just a few minutes of new knowledge each day, and it lights up his entire mood. He says, "It reminds me that there's still so much beauty out there, and I'm not done learning yet." Now that's what I call staying alive in the truest sense. He says it gives him something new to think about every day. One morning it was about how penguins choose their lifelong mates. The next was about how coffee beans are processed by hand in the hills of Ethiopia. Then he smiled and said, "I may never travel again, but my mind still goes somewhere new each day." That, my friend, is the quiet power of staying curious. And it doesn't stop there. Curiosity doesn't just expand your own world, it builds bridges to others. When you ask your grandchild how TikTok works, or what book they're reading in school, or how 3D printing is changing the world of medicine, you're not just making conversation. You're sending a quiet but powerful message: I'm still part of the world. I still care. I still belong. And that message, whether whispered or unspoken, matters more than you know. Because people do notice. They notice when someone your age is still learning, still asking, still lighting up with wonder. It gives them hope. It reminds them that aging doesn't have to mean shrinking, that your mind, your heart, and your spirit can keep growing right to the very end. So if you still light up when you learn something new. If you still say, "That's interesting," when someone shares a fact. If you still sit in quiet awe while watching a sunset, or hearing a bird call you've never heard before. Then you are a rare and beautiful gem in this world. Because your curiosity, that spark within you, is a light. And in a world that often grows dim with age, your light stands tall, steady, and shining bright. A few final thoughts. If you've stayed with me this far, if you found yourself nodding, smiling, or maybe even getting a little emotional, then let me tell you something gently but clearly. You still care about life. You still want to grow. You still want to know that your heart, your effort, your presence, matters. And let me say this from the heart, it does. Now more than ever. Because reaching 70, 80, or beyond is not the closing chapter of your life. It is one of the richest, filled with wisdom, clarity, and a kind of beauty younger folks often can't yet understand. But I also know how easy it is to forget that. When your body slows down, when old friends are no longer around, when society seems to stop looking your way. Loneliness can creep in quietly, and so can doubt. That's why it's so important to recognize and honor the 5 things you're still doing, even if no one else says it out loud. Whether it's choosing kindness when bitterness would be easier. Maintaining your independence in quiet, personal ways. Respecting your own boundaries. Giving generously without expecting applause. Or keeping your curiosity alive when others have stopped asking questions. These aren't just habits. They are quiet miracles. And maybe the people around you don't say it often. Maybe you're too modest to bring it up. But just because it's unspoken doesn't mean it's unseen. You are the kind of person others look at with quiet admiration. The kind of soul who reminds us that age doesn't dull our light, it refines it. So don't let anyone, not even yourself, tell you that what you're doing doesn't matter. It does. It matters for your children. It matters for your grandchildren. It matters for the neighbor who sees your smile, for the stranger at the grocery store who noticed your patience. And it matters for the world, a world that still needs people like you to show us what real strength, grace, and humanity look like. You are not just getting by. You are living with quiet courage. You are holding on to dignity, to curiosity, to compassion, in a world that so often lets those things slip away. That's why, my friend, you are one in a million. And I hope you never forget it. Thank you for joining us today. If something in this video touched your heart or sparked a thought, leave us a comment below. Share one thing you've learned, or one way you plan to use it in your life. Your voice matters here, and your presence is a gift. And if you found this video meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support helps us continue making content that informs, uplifts, and honors the incredible journey of aging. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay kind, stay curious, and stay beautifully you.